What's up, everybody? The V Club here, coming at you with another video as I do anything and everything on the daily. That's what it's all about. It's about anything and everything, lifestyle, entertainment, um, you name it, right? Nothing's off the table. I'd like to share with you thoughts of what may be happening, what's going on, all that stuff. And I welcome all opinions, all right? So with that, this is a New Year's Eve edition. Figure out to me the best way to close out the year is really to talk about the fall of Biden and the Democrats, and I think it's fitting to talk about the fall, right? Because you know when you really look at deep down everything about what has happened this past year, let alone the last 4 years, it really shows and exposes how corrupt and bad Democrats really are. That they truly are not there for you like you think they are. For some people that support it, right? And it really exposes how bad they really are, right? In general, right? Besides the corruption, they cannot budget to run a business. Like you're running a big business, right? Government, right? That's a big, large business, right? You have money, you have expenses, you have a budget, and every one of these places that are, Democrat ran overspends. They're in a budget deficit, and they keep asking for more by taxing you for more, right? So it's just funny how that is, and the delusions of everything, such as Biden believing that he could still be the guy, the president beyond 2024, is laughable, right? But when you look at his work over the last 4 years, has he really been a good one, a good president? No, right? Because when you look at everything, the cost of everything to live is higher. Job reports really show that it's not really as good as they make it out to be, especially when they have to pull back numbers, right? And if anything, maybe lots of jobs were refulfilled from COVID, from those job losses. You're really just kind of filling those holes. But there wasn't any new growth, maybe government jobs, but really not any new growth, right? And so when you really look at that, it's like, you know, it's not that great, right? And then, of course, the handouts, the giveaways, stimulus checks, giveaways to all the illegals, opening the border up, 10 million plus people coming to the country, um, unvetted for a great majority of them. And then crime is happening, gangs are happening, drugs are happening in the United States. I mean, it just goes on. The forgiveness of school loans for college students, even though when he asked initially, they said no. So he just went ahead and did it anyways. um, I mean, all the way down to, you know, making all these weird decisions um, that clearly wasn't him all the way there, right? Because you start to find out he's been in this sort of cognitive decline since the very beginning. As more and more news comes out, as more and more revelations have come, you start to really see that he was just a shell of himself. All right, that's been scripted, controlled. I wouldn't say manipulated. I think he just ran with it. There's no manipulation. He just ran with it because he's a Democrat and he was the guy in power. I think they kind of pumped him up into thinking that he's this, he's that, and so he believed it. But at the same time, he was in so much decline that he couldn't make the big decisions by himself. He had to do it, with his advisors, right? And whomever is truly running the country, and it definitely wasn't Kamala because she's clueless. And all this exposure came to a head when the whole debate came and really showed that decline, because once that really exposed how bad he truly was, that's when you start to look at, wow, he's not really all there. And at that point, that's when you truly saw that, how bad he really was. And so the Democrat elites were like, hey, he got to go. Right. And the only way to really, really save what's already been funded, money that's been donated and all that, was to keep it within the ticket, right? Because the ticket was uh, Biden and Kamala together. So they had to give it to Kamala, or else they would lose all that money that was already been donated and all that. And it was a lot of money. So it was either go with a guy that's better or a person that's better to campaign and run, a better competitor, or go with the money, right? And obviously they went with the money because it was a lot of money, and that money would have been unusable when it came to running against Trump. So they felt like, well, we had a better chance with the money that's there. Kamala's been here with Joe, so they felt like those were better factors, right, into letting her take over and run for president, in which she lost. And so it's funny because now you look at this, right? He still thinks he could have won the election, right? And it's all his people that's putting those thoughts in his head, really showing, just really, one, in denial. Two, I think they're just really pumping him up just to kind of make him feel good and all that, because they got nothing else to talk about because they're all a bunch of losers. And so it's just funny how that is, right? And but at the same time, as time goes on, you start to really see, besides being a loser, how much of a scumbag he is as well. Just like it shows right here, scumbag Gavin Newsom. Because as time goes on, you really start to see the true colors of everything about what Democrats are, right? They're, like I said a few minutes ago, they're terrible spenders because they got their priorities all wrong, and having their priorities all wrong because they'd rather just you know go ahead and spend on illegals with all their handouts, giveaways, right? Give them home, food, health care, all this other crap, right? That they shouldn't be getting because they're illegal and they're just guests in our country. That's what they're doing, right? He also sent billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine for what? Right? They talk about the terrible pullout from Afghanistan, whatever, right? And the list goes on and on about how bad he really has been. And then to top it all off, right, the cherry on the cake was when the pardon time came, and to really pardon Hunter Biden because he was about to be prosecuted and he was prosecuted, but he was about to be sentenced on his prosecution to some years in jail because he was really, really, it was really stacked against Hunter Biden to go to prison. And so, in order to protect him from going to prison because he was about to be sentenced, he came out and decided to pardon him. All right, and then as time goes on, not only that, he pardoned federal death row. 37 out of 40 that's on federal death row. So it's like, man, you're making all these head scratching moves to really, I mean, that just goes along the lines of what progressive liberal people do, right? And yeah, it's crazy that it's still continuing the lines and trend of what that agenda's been the whole time, right? Soft on crime, defunding police type stuff. I mean, the overspending, the let's give away to everybody else but here. We can't fix our own problems. The cost of everything is higher. Let's ban gas. Let's do no fracking. Let's do, all this bullshit, right? And then he still thinks he could have won, which is crazy. But at the same time, as time goes on, it really shows the true colors of the Democrats, right? That they are for the elites, they are not for you. And let's see some of the delusions here.
Well, somebody is bitter. With just 21 days to go, President Biden seems to be spending his final stretch wallowing in self-pity, angry and resentful as he braces for his legacy to be obliterated. For example, while addressing the nation on the loss of President Jimmy Carter, Joe Biden couldn't help but take a cheap shot at President-elect Donald Trump.
Thank you. President Trump to take from President Carter?
Decency. Decency. Decency.
And that's not his only grievance. Joe Biden told the public that he has no regrets. But behind closed doors, he's full of them. The big guy regrets dropping out of the 2024 race and thinks he could have beat Trump if his own party hadn't shoved him out the door. He's also furious that his lawfare was a dud. Quote, in private, Biden has also said he should have picked someone other than Merrick Garland as Attorney General, complaining about the Justice Department's slowness under Garland in prosecuting Trump and its aggressiveness in prosecuting Biden's son, Hunter. But Joe isn't the only.
Wow, so that's definitely, that right there definitely shows the agenda, progressive agenda right there, and the corruption right there. I mean, they were trying to push hard to go after Trump. It was the, and the other way around that happened. And so he's pissed about that. I mean, that just really shows corruption of Democrats.
Only one with regrets. His friends in the liberal media now feel bad covering up his obvious cognitive decline. Watch.
Undercovered, underreported. That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate. It's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations. It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years, and yet he.
Yeah, and then when anybody ever questioned that, right? Oh man, you're just talking shit. We don't know what you're talking about. Oh man, Biden's a hoot. He's a party pooper. He's a party guy behind closed doors. I mean, he could run circles around people. All this shit.
He insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office for another 4 years. Which could have led to a primary.
Because everybody was in on it. All the liberal media was in on it. So there was no way you could have pushed without being pushed back by the White House for questioning what was going on. No, they were all in on it, right? Whether it's CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, you name it. They were all in on it. And they know it. They just didn't want to push hard because they didn't want to go against the grain here. Because, Biden and whomever was calling the shots really has something going here. Stacked media. So they really control the narrative.
For the Democrats, it could have changed the scope of the entire election.
Yeah, so it didn't matter, though.
So, Kennedy, how do you feel about these journalists now saying it's evident that Joe Biden had a cognitive decline all of a sudden?
Yeah, all of a sudden, right, when it's all said and done, all of a sudden. But like I said, it's already been said outside of traditional media. That's why the trust in traditional media is at an all-time low, because how exposed, corrupt, how they are really one-sided this whole time. Even through the election, they can still try to control the narrative to the point where they were speculating that Kamala might win, and it's like, come on, really? Until it really showed that Kamala wasn't going to win.
Jan Crawford is not going to be popular at the CBS New Year's Eve party. Let me tell you that right now. She has been red-pilled. And my question is, hey, Jan, what took you so long? Yeah. You know, it's like the evidence was there. There were a lot of us talking about all of this for years and years and years, before 2020, saying, well, it was pretty obvious why Obama didn't pick Biden to be his successor in 2016, because he didn't think he was up for the job. And
well, the 2016, if I recall, he didn't choose to do the job because of he lost his other son, Beau, to like cancer or something like that, brain cancer. There was something that happened. He lost his son. He said he wasn't in his right mind to run for president at the time, because he probably would have fared better than Hillary at the time. But you know what it was. If he wasn't going to do it, they were going to push for the Hillary because, the first female president. I mean, it was kind of a fitting thing that, Democrats try to do, right, in terms of pushing this whole DEI to the masses. And Hillary was kind of like the beginning of that, moving forward. But at the same time, he wasn't there, and he said so.
There was a lot of decline for him between 2016 and 2020. And even in 2020, he didn't believe in himself. And he said, I'm a transitional candidate. I'm only going to be president for 4 years, dead people. And, then we were stuck with him.
This was
They
funny when he
bypassed
was
the primary
lost.
process. And that wasn't him alone. That was his handlers. That was the party. That was the Democrat establishment. That was Jeffrey Katzenberg. It was the donors. It was the fundraisers. Anyone who had access to him, anyone, not just the last person in the room, Kamala, but anyone knew that he was in cognitive decline. Anyone who has had a family member who has experienced things like Alzheimer's and dementia, they know what they were seeing, and they did nothing about it because he was hungry for power. He wanted to hold on to it. His family pushed him to hold on to it, and everyone else around him knew that him maintaining the presidency was a condition of their employment. So they said and they did nothing until now. Those words are absolutely empty and meaningless.
Yeah, it's purely ideological.
Everything about Democrats is meaningless because they can say all they want, but they've been lying and lie after lie after lie after lie this whole time, and they got exposed for it. To me, it's like, how can you even trust anything that they say? Because all they care about is themselves and their agendas. They don't really care about the common people. All they care about is taking your money to use for everything else that they're doing, all right? All the BS, but nothing for us.
So Leslie, as the Democrat at the table, it's not that there was a difference in June between Joe Biden in February when Robert Hur came out with the special counsel report saying we can't charge him with a bunch of felonies he's actually committed because he can't remember anything. It was that they got exposed. And It wasn't just Joe Biden. It was also the media and Democrats around him, including George Clooney and Barack Obama, who just a month earlier were asking for millions of dollars for his reelection campaign. And then he comes out to the debate and they're like, oh, now we need a new guy. So how do you explain the lack of transparency, given that Americans saw what was going on, which is why they voted against Kamala Harris and for Trump in November?
Well, I don't know. I see decline in Trump. I saw decline in Biden. I mean, at least I'm being honest. I'm not being disingenuous. This is what bothers me, is that with all due respect to Jan, and I'm sure you're right, she's not going to be loved at the Christmas party at CBS. Look, I don't know what rock she's living under, with all due respect, because every time I turned on the channel and the ratings with some of our competitors at other cable news networks who lean left were getting killed. I mean, the ratings were dropping. Why? Because my side was going, stop just talking about Biden's decline. Stop just talking about Biden's dementia. Why aren't you talking about the decline of Donald Trump as well? I think it was valid to talk about this for both candidates.
That's being deranged now.
Networks were covering his decline? Because I don't.
I did. Yes, absolutely.
Other channels were not touching
if they were covering it, then why is Jan Crawford saying it's the most underreported story of the year?
Yeah, very underreported. They did not talk about his decline because when they were addressing his decline, they said there was no decline. That he was great. He's always the first one in, last one out. He's all this other bullshit that they lied about. And to cover that, no, they didn't cover that. And to say that compared to Trump, if you're trying to say he's in decline, where? Because he seems to be pretty sharp and witty as always. So I don't know where she's deranged and come up with all that BS from.
Well, again, with all due respect, one person's opinion, it does not mean that is a fact or be the opinions of everyone else. I disagree with her. And I'm a Democrat, but I disagree with her.
They were literally telling us, I'm sorry to jump in, on the eve of the debate, when he glitched out so poorly he was forced off the ticket, they were telling us that morning these were cheap fakes. That's what the liberal media was saying. They were saying, no, you imagine this. If you look from this angle, he actually ran the 100-meter hurdles and broke the world record. Yep. From that angle, it looks like Obama let him off the stage. That's the cheap fake angle. That's
not what I said, although you're going to get your chair that you said you were going to throw at me.
Other networks. Joe Scarborough was on TV and he said, F you if you can't handle the truth. Right. This is the sharpest Joe Biden has ever been. Right. He said that. I'm just saying you said that.
One journalist.
I didn't say that, and I don't agree with that either. But I also did not agree with the George Clooney's of the world. Like, we asked him, no offense, George, what his opinion was, who our candidate was going to be, because I really felt it was a horrific debate, but I felt you just don't walk away after one. I'm sorry. I really felt he would have had a stronger showing, even if
he had another debate, he would have been destroyed in another debate. It didn't matter. He got exposed there, and even Clooney was scared enough to be like, man, we can't have this go any further.
He didn't beat Trump. So Kamala Harris, I really do. At the end,
let's go back to Joe Biden's legacy and his record.
So
is a hell of a drug.
Indeed. But
stop.
One thing that Joe Biden is reportedly talking about behind closed doors, Charlie, and I think the most significant thing that he says to people who aren't out in the public is that he believes he should have picked a different attorney general because Merrick Garland did not engage soon enough in the lawfare to take him off of the campaign trail. I mean, that is a democracy-ending principle. If you want to throw your...
Yeah, I mean, come on. That really shows the corruption right there. I mean, besides the money being funneled out of everything, all right, in the United States and in
opponents in
liberal blue states, that right there, the lawfare against Trump that we saw that got exposed and unraveled, and now really showing that it was truly targeted. Yeah. So that is all corruption there.
Jail because you can't run against them.
I had to read that part of the story like 4 times because I was like, there's no way that he's blaming the picking of Merrick Garland because Merrick Garland wasn't politicized enough against Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It was, and the whole article was so delusional. And the idea that he, if he had stayed in the race, he was going to beat Donald Trump is laughable. I also think it's kind of interesting that if it was all these anonymous sources. You had the Harris camp and you had the Trump camp, and the Biden camp, and they're whispering behind the scenes, each of them pointing fingers at the other. Because the Harris campaign says, if he had gotten out sooner, I would have been able to beat him. And it's like, no, you spent over $1 billion in 100 days and lost. If she had had 200 days, she would have lost worse, I think. Mm-hmm. And so the whole thing is complete. You're right.
Because she couldn't have hid from the media, for that long anyway. So she would have been more exposed to the media, more to showcase that, man, she is unqualified to do anything. She would have done worse than where she stood at, even though she spent $1 billion+. Harris was trash too.
Delusion is a marvelous drug, and I'd like to know where to get it.
Wait a minute. Then you're sharing my delusion, because I do agree with you that she still would have lost.
No, but here's the thing, Leslie. The fact that they both would have lost to Donald Trump proves that it wasn't about voting against Trump. It was about voting for Trump, which is why he won in such a landslide for his agenda.
I think it was messaging. I think that my party was really bad about the messaging, especially on crime,
Jimmy, not the facts.
No, it's not. Every time they say messaging, people don't get their opinion on the economy from MSNBC. They get it from their bank account. They get it from their cash register. That's the real messaging. What the media is doing here, they're engaging in this exercise of retroactive ass covering. Okay?
Yeah, so besides that, when you look at everything, again, cost of everything's gone up. The government spending on bullshit and nothing to show for, and then they keep asking more from us, and then they give away to, they got their priorities all wrong is what it is. And yeah, messaging and cover up. Yeah, that's what they're doing now.
On the Biden dementia story, they're trying to make it look like they got it wrong, which implies that there was an effort to get it right, which we all know was not the truth.
Like nope.
The idea that this was the most underreported story of 2024, it was the most underreported story of 23, 22, 21, and 2020. Joe Biden is the only president in history who makes the sign language interpreter shrug. Okay, that's not normal. Okay, he talked to dead people. Now we're going to sit here and go, gee, I wonder if only somebody would have checked on the guy talking to dead people. You know, who knew?
And all the explanations from the White House podium about him talking to dead people.
Yeah.
When he referred to the French president who's been dead for like, I think that they said he was been dead for like since the 90s or something like that, and he was talking to the French president of that dead French president.
Wandering off stage, getting lost. It was always the American people who were not seeing it.
Yeah.
And the president
was the real
fine.
messaging problem.
Litmus test,
This is all
Joe
cheap
Biden,
fakes.
and ask yourself this honestly: could Joe Biden have sat with Joe Rogan for 3 hours?
No.
If that is the
No.
litmus test to be president, then I need to move. Okay,
No, but the answer.
No, it's not the litmus test, but no, he couldn't have sat, just like Kamala couldn't have sat with Joe Rogan for 3 hours. She probably would have sat maybe at most of 1. Joe would have fallen asleep.
I'm a talk show host. That should not be the litmus test.
The answer is no.
What?
Yeah.
18 years younger than Donald Trump? She could not have done it.
No.
She couldn't, by her own admission, she could not have sat for 3 hours.
She should
She
have
could
done
not
it,
have
but
done
that
it. Joe
should
Biden
not.
should have done it.
She
And
should
yes,
have done
that
it,
is
but
an
that should
important
not
thing
determine who
to
our
be able to
president
sit
is.
No.
I don't care what
for 3
That's not the
hours
point.
and have a contemporaneous,
It's
spontaneous,
not specifically-
challenging discussion because there aren't a lot of people who can do that. There certainly aren't a lot
Kamala
of
couldn't
people running
sit through
for
a
president who
discussion.
could do it. And there's certainly only one person who's going to be president who could do it and did it.
But you know what? You can have 5 people sit there,
We
not
gotta
5 are
run
going to win the presidency.
to the next block.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Man, that Democrat chick is a dumbass. Oh, what a dummy. All right. But yeah, so now that we're seeing how exposed the Democrats are, right? I mean, they're really all about their own agenda and not about you. So something to think about. All right. I mean, across the board, it's all bad. Look at New York. Bad. California. Bad. I mean, Chicago, Illinois, bad. Oregon, Washington. Man, these are all like blue-leaning states, right? Bad. It's all bad. All right, hold on. I got an elections map here, right? Look at the blue states. They all have issues. Budget issues, money problem, related to money, immigrants, things like that, right? All along the West Coast, budget issues, defunding police, illegal immigration problem here. New Mexico, you don't really hear too much of, but they are blue-leaning. They do deal with illegals. Colorado is another illegal migration place to be and having their own problems. Minnesota, same deal. Defunding police, not so much illegal immigration, but more of crime and budget problems, right? Illinois, defunding police, crime, illegals, right? All on the East Coast area here, New York. We all know New York's problems. So you see all that. All right? And they all have the same thing in common. They don't care about you. They care about everything else but you. And it's so obvious. They made it so blatantly obvious. But the corruption at its finest, when Biden decided to pardon Hunter, that was one thing. It was so obvious. One, he didn't want his son to go to prison, obviously. But he lied about that initially, too, because he said that he would not go against whatever is decided to all of a sudden pardon him. So to me, that was bad. And everybody saw that he's truly exposed for being a liar, that he really is. But not only that, right? It really is going to cover up his tracks for the last 10 years, because he pardoned him for the last 10 years, and it was all coincidental on the cover-up of anything that his son had with dealings around the world from 2014 on, because that's when his son first started doing all that stuff. So that really covers up anything that could have bit Biden back in the ass. All right, so anyhow, glad that people came to a realization and voted against Biden, because now that he's delusioned into thinking that he could still be the man, no, there's no way. Not after everything he's done, there's no way. All right, everything that he's done to destroy the United States, and of course the icing on the cake with the mental decline, I thought there's no way. There's just no way. So I wanted to top it off here with this stuff here. Take a quick look through some of this compilation here.
We won't sugarcoat it. Our world isn't always fair or equal.
Let's see some of the gaffes here of Biden.
I'm not introducing me, Mark is. So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done. But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed. Have a good time. Thank you for your service from the bottom of my heart. Really. Happy Thanksgiving. See you all. Oh, who am I giving this to?
We are a community that relies on family, on ohana.
Middle class was built by the middle class, and the unions built the middle class. And two of the great artists of our time representing the groundbreaking legacy of hip-hop in America, LL Cool J. You could say even this harder than getting a ticket to the Renaissance tour or Britney's tour. She's down in, it's kind of warm in Brazil right now. And by the way, with other movies she's earned a Golden Globe and a Primetime Emmy. That's me. Now that we are back together here in Cambodia, I look forward to building even stronger progress than we've already made. And I want to thank the Prime Minister for Colombia's leadership and the ASEAN chair.
And to say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is a historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good. Well, we're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. It's about making sure that the third world, the Southern Hemisphere had access to change it, had access. It wasn't confrontational at all.
Thank you, everybody. This ends the press conference. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Shit. Man, there's no way.
Are you ready to USA?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alan. Happy birthday to you.
Instead of cutting them, or like Congressman Trump and Bob want to do. President Harris is there to make sure we do this the right way. Leading tech companies like Anthropic.
Let me see this one.
So you think getting an amazing GPA like this will get your child into a top university, right?
I'm going up to my granddaughter's birthday in New York. Then we're going to watch a debate. And then tomorrow I'm doing 9/11. Now, who am I introducing next? Who's next? Welcome to Washington. She beat Trump so badly in the debate, he's scared to death to meet her again. That's a fact. Mr. President Trump, former President Trump, get a life, man. Help these people.
Will you hold him accountable? You said you were going to hold those accountable.
Public will hold them accountable. You better than the press hold them accountable because you know the truth.
As smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you all. I mean, so I know this sounds bizarre. It sounds like if I said this 5 years ago, you'd lock me up. We got to lock him up. Political lock him up.
Ooh, the truth.
But I'm serious. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass. I need that hat.
Want my autograph?
Hell no.
You know my name. Come on.
I ain't going that far.
Yeah. You said you would do a selfie. There you go.
No one should make the American people question whether their governments will be making sure that this is acting on strikes. They'll be there. We will, all of us. Eric Dean of the Iron Workers, Tim Driscoll of Bricklayers, April Bell of the SEIU. And to the Gila Indian River community, the Gila, nothing wrong with me. Down to Chris Von Halen. What the hell's his name? Is new. Chris and I have been doing this for so many years now, it's getting old. Or at least I'm getting old. I'm Joe Biden's husband. And you can see she doesn't have any strong notions or ideas. You know, teaching is not the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Tina is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's
even though he didn't say it, right? That it was the comedian.
Mr. President-elect and former President and Donald. Congratulations. What's your name? Oh, is that right? All right. Well, thanks for being here. Have a seat, everyone. Remember the last guy when he was president, he said we have every week, we're going to have infrastructure week.
That's how he's shuffling on.
Still a threat to democracy.
What are you planning to talk with him about? What are you going to tell to Trump?
Vai para o outro lado. Ele está pronto, vai.
I see you guys.
We felt over the next 10 years. We have legislation we passed. It's just only now just really kicking in.
What do the states in the storm zone need, Mr. President?
Okay.
What do the states in the storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today?
Oh, in the storm zone?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm they're talking about. They're getting everything they need. They're very happy across the board. Now, not only that, our fellow Americans are putting their lives on the line to do this dangerous work. and received death penalties. Some received death penalties yesterday as a result of reckless, irresponsible, relentless disinformation and outright lies that continue to flow.
Let me see something here. Last one, I promise, and then that's it.
Was gone in an instant.
I just have to show this. It's just funny. Gotta show this stuff. It's just funny as hell. I don't think this is a big deal, you know? Not a big deal. This is being a grandpa. That's not a big deal.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
They didn't have the look on his face when he corrected himself. He had this look on his face. It was the funniest thing.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Thank you so much. Mr. President. Thank you very much.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be Vice President, but I think she was not qualified to be President. So let's start there. We got to just remember who the hell we are. We're the United States of America.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, serve with a black president. I'm proud of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do.
Listen, but guess what? They want to, the guy we're running against, what's his name? Donald Dump or Donald whatever. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillion.
This was the downfall, right?
I mean, billionaires in America. And what's happening? They're in a situation where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 million, billion dollars, I should say, in a 10-year period, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Joe,
oh, this is a favorite part right here.
you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
Yay!
And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why? Yes. So, Joe, I'm going to hand it over to you because
good job, Joe. You answered every question.
Here, so thank you all for coming.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. You've been here the whole time. I see it. I see that patch here.
All right, enough of that. I just wanted to kind of sound off on that. And happy 2024, or the end of 2024. Going into 2025. We'll see you on the other side. Thanks for tuning in. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. There's no way he could have been president again. This is all proof of that. But I just wanted to show you guys that and the corruption at its finest of the Democrat Party. All right, all his moves, plus everyone else that's represented Democrats. You see how terrible conditions are. But that's the latest on everything. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, comment down below. I'll see you next one.